what are some of your favorite stories? Do you want to share? Is that too many?
Favorite stories. I mean, there's a lot that I really like to tell because I can have a lot of fun in the telling. There's I don't want to give too much away, so you should come take the tour if you really want to hear
We'll
them.
promote the
But
hell out of this. Don't worry.
yeah, amen. There's a story I really like to tell about a haunted dormitory at NYU that's just really fun because I've actually had people on the tour who have lived there and who are like, "Oh my God, you know that story?" I said, "Well, yeah, it's a ghost story," and they're shocked that like, "Oh, I thought only people who lived there knew about this." And there's just a very particular story that we've learned that gives me a lot of latitude to tell a very creepy story about a girl who thinks she's being followed by a ghost in the dormitory. I love doing that one. And but one of the story I'll share one of the stories that I don't get to tell on the tour anymore because we don't go by this location. It's not very scary, which is also a reason we pulled it off the tour. People people who take our tours, I think you get a wide range of people who are looking for different kinds of things, and the best is the people who are like interested in history but also really like the creepy stuff. So you can play at both ends of the spectrum, like, you know, ooh, I'm scary ghost story, and like also fascinating history. Holy cow, isn't this crazy? This happened here, and they're into all of it. One of the hardest things is when you have a ghost story that's just not creepy and the history about it is super niche. So if you're not into theater, you wouldn't be as interested in this story as I am. And that story is of the Little Thimble Theater, which was, I can't remember the exact address, but it's where there's a Le Pain Quotidien on Fifth Avenue, just north of Washington Square Park. In the basement was a theater that was called the Little Thimble, and it had some really great history as a bohemian off-Broadway theater run by a guy named Guido Bruno. And his business partner was I want to say his first name was Charles. You know his last name, though, Edison. It was Thomas Alva's brother, I believe, who was his business partner. And they had this little theater where they did like crazy stuff, but also the U.S. premiere of Miss Julie, I've heard, took place in the basement. Again, so this is the sort of stuff that when I was learning it, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. And then I share it with people on the tour, and it's like, yeah, there's one theater kid, and everyone else this isn't that interesting to them. The ghost story about it's also kind of fun if you're a theater person, because, you know, all of us know that all theaters are haunted. It's a given. And it's a very theatrical sort of ghost, because not only have people claimed they have heard piano music playing, as if like somebody's playing solo piano for an audition or something. It has been said that residents of the basement, or whoever would like have a store in the basement or whatever, would sometimes return to the space and find everything in the room had been pushed off to the sides of the space, as if someone had struck the space to have a rehearsal.
Oh, that's great.
I see. Yeah, I think so too. But you know, if you're not a theater person, if you're not like coming at the ghost stories with this idea of like, oh, I love the theater as well, it's just not as fun. But it's one that I love to share whenever I can, and I feel like your podcast has probably got the right kind of audience to appreciate that story.
Well, I think theaters are underused in the genre, to be honest with you. The genre of the paranormal. I've seen it off and on in some pseudo-reality shows about ghosts. Like, I don't know if you remember that old show, Unsolved Mysteries, from the 90s.
With Robert Stack? Hell yeah,
man. Oh, yeah,
man.
man. That's a great show.
That's how a lot of us got into this stuff,
yeah.
I think. Was
yeah. Like, but they had one
show
about the Comedy Store in L.A. And
didn't know it was haunted.
Yeah, and like
Really?
they had famous who are now relatively famous. If you're a comedian, you know who they are, talking about their experiences working there, and like, I don't know, there's something about that space where people perform, and also some of these places, like the Comedy Store, weren't always for that. For example, I think the Comedy Store was a club run by gangsters. which adds that history element that you're talking about. And so then your imagination can run wild. Well, could this be? Could this be true?
I would think. I mean, it sounds to me like you're a writer. You should use that. This would be a really great in for a some sort of paranormal adventure in the fiction realm, or do it as a radio play, and I will gladly direct it for you, my friend. So, yeah, I'm really into the same. I love that too. Like, I love anything that references our our work in the theater, our work as creative people, and that you can, if you could also put in that layer of the supernatural, like, because there's always that level of unreality, right? Because we're playing with reality and with, in many ways, conjuring in the theater, right? Like, we are conjurers. So what happens if you literally take that, right, and add in the level of paranormal, ghost hunting, ESP, like telekinesis, and any of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think it's just a natural medium to fit in there. One of my favorite pieces that I gotten to direct in New York was with this really great little series that used to run also at the Crane called Shots, and they would do same kind of format as Living Radio in many ways. Actually, they would give like writers 2 weeks to write a piece. They'd give an actors and a director 2 weeks to rehearse. And the very first time I got paired with this group and to direct a piece, this really great writer, I want to say it was Kevin Brewer. I hope I didn't screw up your name there, my friend. But it was called "May the Force Be with You?" because the theme was Star Wars, and he wrote into the piece that there's somebody uses the Force, and it has to actually work, like for it to make sense in the piece. Yeah. And it was a blast to try to stage because, again, you're trying to make magic, and sometimes you can show the magic, and it's just as fascinating when you like see it, how it worked. But then how can you also trick them, like give them a little sense of like, holy shit, how'd they do that? Like, I love that sort of stuff. So yeah, sorry to go off on a tangent, but like, yeah, I completely agree. Anytime you can put in this level of the fantastic and or whether you want to call it, like, again, the fantastic, the amazing, or the paranormal, into the theatrical realm, yeah, I'm on board. That sounds great.